Didn't they actually beat Houston? So transfers that. Houston slips to 11 because I got Kansas City 10, Buffalo 9. I know Buffalo hasn't quote unquote played anyone yet, but
Yeah.
I think they're gonna come. I think they'll be the number one wild card. And they will. They played the Patriots really tough, and they're the only team that's given the Patriots a game all year.
The only loss they have.
I'm big on Buffalo. If Josh Allen can really can mature and really step into his stride, I think Buffalo's the first wild card. Then I got Minnesota at 8, Indianapolis, who's very, very impressive. They were the only team up until the point they played. When they played Kansas City, they were the first team to really put Mahomes on notice that you can't stop him.
Yeah.
And I really like what Indianapolis is doing there. I really would say pat. I really wouldn't make a move unless somebody comes down here with a really spectacular offer for something. Maybe an AJ Green. You know, if the Cincinnati were to offer up AJ Green, I might do it. They could use a receiver. Then at 6, I got Green Bay. I like Green Bay at 6 because of the Detroit game. A game that they should have lost if it weren't for some weak officiating at the end of the game.
Yep.
Seattle at 5 because of the loss to Baltimore. And this is something I can't figure out about this season. Baltimore loses to Cleveland, who lost to Seattle, then loses to Baltimore.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Yep.
Then I got New Orleans at 3, and I've had San Francisco at 2 from the time that when Cincinnati or Kansas City first lost. I've had San Francisco at 2. They've been 2 for 4 straight weeks. I really like San Francisco. I really like what they're building there. They went out and got Emmanuel Sanders. It's a really, really nice piece. I think it complements Garoppolo immensely. I'm big on San Francisco. I can't wait until they play Seattle. If they play Seattle and they beat Seattle, then I'm sold on San Francisco. And then New England's number 1 because, of course, they are. They're number 1. They're okay. Mohamed Sanu. I was watching Colin Cowherd's show yesterday, or just a clip from it, and he was talking about the NFL front offices and how the Patriots have you beat before you even take the field because they have the best. They got the best front office. They got the best owner, the best front office, the best coach, the best quarterback. They got the best coordinators. They're the best.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about this new trade while I was at work today. I said they got Sanu, who's probably a number 1 on any other, and maybe there's only 4 teams in the league that he's not a number 1 on. That's Atlanta, Arizona, Cincinnati, and I was thinking of another team, and I forget who else, and maybe Minnesota. Anywhere else, he's probably a number 1. Everybody else, and now he goes to New England, and they get him for a second-round pick. He's probably at least worth a first, first. And New England's front office is just so savvy. They didn't have to make a big deal, and they didn't have to give up 2 firsts and a second to go get an AJ Green or to go get Larry Fitzgerald. They gave up a second to get a very nice piece, a guy that fits well in their offense. He can run from trickeration. He can throw from the wide receiver spot, and that's why they're always the best because they beat you before you even take the field. And they, having the boogeyman defense is what they've dubbed it, and the fact that quarterbacks are seeing ghosts.
The defense has been studs. They've been studs all season. The Patriots defense has been a hell of a lot better than it's been the past few seasons. Yeah, absolutely, I agree.
That throw that
Darnold
made, his first throw, the one that went over the receiver's head that who was it? Gilmore picked off.
Mm-hmm.
That was a 4 foot over his head. The guy even got on him, and that defensive line is scary good.
Well, and then we got rid of Michael Bennett. We got rid of Michael Bennett today to the Cowboys.
And you get rid of the locker room cancer.
Yeah.
Bennett turned into an absolute cancer.
The thing that scares me, about us is Josh Gordon. I know Gordon hasn't been a big piece of the puzzle this year, or the big piece of the offense, but he will be missed because he was the deep threat wide receiver. You have Sanu.
Perry will be back.
He's that. Sanu and Edelman are, when we get N'Keal Perry, the kid we drafted in the draft this year, we get him back, it'll be a little bit different. I think he's either this week or next week he's supposed to be back.
I think
they've been talking about him for a while. But when we get him back, it'll change the offense a bit. But Sanu is a huge upgrade, for Tom. It's just another weapon. Now, we lost Gronk, and really, if you look at that, we don't really need a tight end anymore. You have Izzo. You got Ben Watson. Other than that, we really don't. I mean, it's not. We run the ball a lot too with Michelle and James White. And White's a dual threat guy, as he's been for years. So he's been great, but the defense has just been solid. It's solid all the way around. We've been able to. We have the best corner in the league, and Stephon Gilmore.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just there's no right now there other than maybe the kicking game might be the only weak chain we have on our team. Might be the only weak team might be the only weak link we have right now. I mean, in all honesty, you're right. Exactly what they did. They went out. They didn't make. It would have been awesome to see AJ Green in a Patriot uniform. It would have been great to see Larry Fitzgerald, which would have been awesome. But I don't think he's going to leave Arizona. But it's one of those things where he's one of those few players who, as you know what, I'm staying put. I was drafted. I'm staying here. I'm not leaving. I think he's either going to retire after the end of this year or this is his last year. So, and he'll be a first ballot Hall of Famer, in my opinion. He's one of the best wide receivers behind, Rice and Moss and Moon and not Moon, but Art Monk and guys like that, Steve Argent, just to name a few of them. He was one of those, he's one of those special players that come along not very often, but he was a special kid.
When they say once in a generation.
Right, correct. He is.
So.
He would be a generation wide receiver because he's not, he's a deep threat guy, but he's a good slot receiver too. So he can play both. And the Cardinals, of course, when Kurt Warner got a second chance because you remember he went from the Rams to the Giants, and he left the Giants, and he got a reverb with Bruce Arians in Arizona before Bruce came here. But he got a revamp, and they go into a Super Bowl, and it was here in Tampa. They lost to the Pittsburgh Steelers, but it was one of those things where that was that play that he made in the Super Bowl. We're talking about Larry Fitzgerald. That was an amazing play because that brought the Cardinals back within a chance to win the game. And that entire game, the Steelers had that game, the momentum on their side, and then all of a sudden, one play, and now Arizona's got the momentum going their way. And, it's just, it will be, to me, when, a guy like him goes away, the game will miss him. Players like that, players retire, and when we see Tom hanging up, it's going to be the same way. When I know there's everybody outside of us that are Patriot fans can't stand Tom Brady. They can't stand Bill Belichick. They can't stand, Mr. Kraft and everybody else. They can't stand it because why? Because we win. We don't. No one talks about you when you suck or when you're not winning games. It's when you're winning. And the fact of the matter is that we've now gotten better, which we did. And the trade deadline isn't until Tuesday, so we could still add some pieces. But, the whole thing is now we got better. Now, again, like I mentioned earlier, my man Peyton Jones, he's on the same network I am. He mentioned on his show the other day, he said, the Patriots picked up Mohamed Sanu, and this was his exact quote. He said, I want to congratulate the Patriots on their Super Bowl 54 win. And I'm like, whoa, okay, pump the brakes a little bit. We're not halfway through the season. Things can change. Injuries can happen. And I still, to this day, am scared about the Buffalo Bills because they took us to to point of no return more than any other team has this season. And yes, we have the Browns. That's going to be a tough game. I know they're in a kind of a turmoil, but we still got to play Houston. We still got to play Kansas City. So those two will be tough because Houston always plays us tough. Kansas City is going to want to beat us because we knocked them out of a Super Bowl last year. So they're going to want to beat us. So I mean, it's not like it's all set in stone that we're going to win out and we're going to win it, and we could lose in the playoffs. I mean, we don't. Obviously, as us being fans, we don't want to admit that. But on the front side, it can happen because it's sports. It can happen. I mean, at any moment, a wild card team could win in the first round, and they have to go play New England, and then they beat us at home, which we don't lose in the playoffs that often in Foxborough, but it happens. It's happened in the past. I mean, the Baltimore Ravens are a tough team. Lamar Jackson ain't no joke. They have a good defense. They have don't they have Earl Thomas from Seattle? They have a good defense in Baltimore, and they run the ball as they've done the last 2 seasons. So again, it's one of those things where it's not set in stone. I hate to say that because I think we all wish, yes, we can call it. We could say, yes, we're going to win another Super Bowl. It just doesn't work like that. We can't. I mean, yes, as of right now on paper, yes, we could officially say that, but we still have to play. We still got to play. 9 more games, and then you got to play the playoff games. So it's not set in stone. It's not.
No. If it was set in stone, there'd be no reason to play the games.
Correct. And we still got to play Buffalo. We got to play the
Buffalo again.
Yeah.
We've played the Jets twice, so then we got to play. We got to play Miami again. Miami allowed to be the team. The good news. The 72 Dolphins. The 72. But the 72 Dolphins would love to be the to knock off the 2019 Patriots. The 72 Dolphins would come out and say, if the Patriots could go 19-1 and win the Super Bowl by 50 points, and the Dolphins, if Miami knocks New England off as the and keeps us from being undefeated, the 72 Dolphins will be out there going, "You're not as good as us." And they would just love to be the team. The 2019 Dolphins would love to be the team that took out New England.
Right. Well, I mean, I guess the good news about it, Bud, is the Buffalo and Miami games that are left on the schedule are both at home. That's the good part.
Right.
We've already played Miami. We played Buffalo in Orchard Park. So they both have to come to Foxborough, which, as you know, we're dangerous at home.
Very.
So we don't lose very often there. So I mean, I have some. I'm gonna use that as an advantage a little bit that we are at home.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
but again, you're exactly right. What would happen if Miami comes in there? I think we play Miami at the end of the season. What if they come in there and take away? Let's say we're undefeated. Hypothetical situation: we're undefeated, and they beat us on the last week of the season or the second to last week of the season. Now Now the momentum that we all built up is now gone. Yes, we'll probably be the number one in the AFC. We'll have the bye week, obviously. Home field.
Right.
So they have to come to the AFC Championship. We'll have to come through Foxborough if we can get through the division round. But
I was just about to say that.
The thing is, we can't automatically say that, San Francisco is going to be the NFC champion. We can't say the Saints. We can't say anything like that, even though those teams are. I mean, let's look at it like this. We don't play the Colts. The Patriots don't play the Colts, right? Do we play the Colts this year? Because that's a good team. That's a good football team that you're going to have to play in the playoffs. I guarantee you that the Colts will be in the postseason. As of right now, things could change.
Now they are.
Yeah, things could very easily change. I mean, you could say the same thing about Seattle. Will the Seahawks get to the – well, as of right now, the NFC West is owned by the 49ers. And like you said, when Seattle plays San Francisco and the Niners – if the Niners defeat them, then we could say, okay, they're the kings of the West. But if they don't and Seattle wins, how can you rule San Francisco ahead of them when Even though I know San Francisco could only have one loss,